Hello everyone, today we are going to do a demonstration on force and laws of motion by my group. So, what is force? Force is defined as a push or a pull on any object. We will see about what Galileo and Newton state about motion and its related terms. Galileo's law of inertia. Galileo's law of inertia states that a body in motion will continue its motion as long as no factor disturbs that motion. Let us see an activity to understand it better. Let's take two inclined planes and a marble and place them facing each other. Now let's roll the marble from one end of the two inclined planes. What do you observe? We observe that the marble wants to go to the same height from which it was dropped from. It wants to travel forever to the same height, but due to some external forces like gravity, it is not able to. By this, we can prove Galileo's law of inertia. Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion states that any body will continue in its state of motion until and unless there is an external unbalanced force applied to it. Let us see an experiment to understand it better. Let us take a ball and keep it at one place, in rest. Now move the ball for a distance, then stop it. What do you observe? We observe that the ball which is at rest changes its state of motion from rest to moving due to an external unbalanced force, which is when we kick, and is stopped again due to an external unbalanced force, which is when we stop it. By this, we can prove Newton's first law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the applied force and takes place in the direction in which the force acts. Let us see an activity to understand it more better. Take two cards and an object which has a considerable mass. Now get two volunteers for the experiment. Now make them face each other while sitting on their cards. Make one travel towards the other one while carrying the object. Now the volunteer throws it to the other. What do you observe? We observe that the initial momentum of the first volunteer is same as the final momentum of the second volunteer, considering that both of their net masses is same. When the object is thrown from one volunteer to the other, it transfers the momentum from the first volunteer to the second volunteer. By this, we can prove Newton's second law of motion. Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law of motion states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Let us see an experiment to understand it better. Take an office chair and go in front of a wall. Now with your legs push against the wall while sitting on the chair. What do you observe? We observe that when we push the table, that is the action, we go backwards, that is the reaction. This proves Newton's third law of motion. Let's recap what we have seen. Galileo's law of inertia states that a body in motion will continue to be in motion unless there is an external factor disturbing its motion. It was the base for Newton's first law of motion. Newton's laws of motion state that a body will continue in its path until and unless there is an external unbalanced force acting on it. The rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the force applied on it and acts in the direction in which the force is applied. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Let me show an activity, pay attention, listen to me. If you understand it only, then I will explain it, buddy. Are you ready for seeing the activity?
Thank you for watching and hope you understand.